Yeah, welcome to the No State Project for November. I gotta look up the thing. I gotta remember the date. It's November 23rd, 2016. This is the second live edition of the No State Project here on Wednesday, and glad everyone's tuning in. Hope so. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for their support, especially y'all this week. No State Project Israel. The support for the show is definitely appreciated, and if you want to help support the show so we can do more live broadcasts, especially like this on Wednesdays, I do appreciate you can go to markstevens.net. You can check that out. We got a lot of stuff to get to. We had some really bad news in the beginning of the week, and thank goodness, I think everything is, well, most of it's resolved now. But look, going into court and dealing with these psychopaths, and yes, psychopaths, when you control other people's life, liberty, and property with no responsibility, and you are holding people's hands, lives in your hands, and to treat them so callously that we've had people like our friend Norm up in Michigan who went to jail for weeks for asking a question. So you may disagree with the hey, maybe it was an out-of-line question, but jail for asking a question? No. Our Judge Dick Noble, criminal, psychopath. I don't know. Maybe what he did was definitely in the range there. Narcissist? Yeah, I think we can. I think that proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. You want to join me here on the big show? It's 218-632-9399, 218-632-9399. And since we don't have commercial breaks on the Wednesday live stream, if you call on Skype, don't call me, what you do is just Skype me at Frank Rizzo 3 and say, hey, I'd like to come on the show, especially if you're a critic. So if you're a critic, say, hey, jackass, I really want to come on the show and show you where you're wrong. And then we'll get you right. We'll get you right on the show. Because dissent is always welcome. We want to conform our view of the world to the evidence, not the other way around. And it's a common saying in NLP, at least from the co-creators, John Grinder and Richard Bandler, that a surefire way to make yourself miserable is to take a picture of the world that you think way it should be, and then try endlessly to get the world to conform to your perception. Okay, it's like trying to get the territory to conform to the map. Not a good idea. So, but if you are a critic and you think what I presented here on the broadcast or on any broadcast or at markstevens.net, you're more than welcome. Please call 218-632-9399 and Frank Rizzo 3 on Skype. And keep in mind, some people have said, well, I'm just going to give Mark more viewers if I come on. That's a stupid reason, because if there's more viewers because you're on as a critic showing me what a con artist that I am, then what you're doing is just protecting innocent people from being scammed by me. So that if everything I'm saying is false and I'm committing fraud and hurting people, coming on the show and bringing more viewers to the show because of your appearance is just going to protect that many more people. Also, this is a live stream. Anybody with a few dollars worth of computer equipment can capture the live stream. So it'll always be out there. So if I was to say or do something or cut someone from a transmission, you can see me do it. You can see the look on my face when I do it. So you're going to have my body language when I do that. You're going to know it's for certain, and you're going to be able to post that. Again, it's very easy to capture a live stream. And when we do the broadcast on LRN.FM on Saturdays from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time, that's a live stream too. Anybody can pull that stream and record it from the LRN stream. So, and I've been accused of the memory hole, and Calvin, props to Calvin, appreciate all the work he does. He can tell you how many gigs worth of audio we have on the website. You can just go to markstevens.net and you can see and get a pretty good idea, because most of the podcasts are a couple hundred megs. And so when you add up 52 a year by 8 or 9 years worth of shows, there's no memory hole. There's an awful lot of material there, and other people have torrented the old shows, so they're all available online. So it's not a matter of, oh, it's down the memory hole. No, I think the 7 gigs worth of audio would say otherwise. So anyway, but if you're a critic and you're worried about something going down the memory hole, it's really easy to do screen caps. So you could just screen cap whatever's on my website, and it's permanent, and you've got a record of it. Post it on your own website so it comes up on a Google search. But there is no memory hole. If I've made a mistake on something, I own up to it. So anyway, a very example is Rudy Ogden. I took the wrong. I didn't know it was. I put Rudy Ogden's father up. They have the same name. They're both Rudolph Ogden. And when he told me that that was not him, I took the pictures off the website. I was wrong. So anyway, keep that in mind. If you're a critic, you're more than welcome to call into the show here in real time. Show me where I'm wrong. Show me where I got my facts wrong. Show where the logic, my analysis and my logic is wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. And I will make the necessary corrections. I'll keep what was wrong on the website. I will just post a correction so that I don't get accused of, oh, Marc Stevens goes down the memory hole. Nobody's got any evidence of that. But hey, the one who made that accusation has a history of making accusations against me without any evidence. So you can't expect anything less. So let's get through the phones over here. Oh, yeah. This is yeah. I'm glad that he's calling the show. He's going to be on the show again. If you go back on markstevens.net a couple of weeks ago, we had Robbie in Portland on talking about his TSA misadventure, and he went in for his 10th, I think it's the 10th or 11th arraignment this past week. So he's going to give us an update on what happened. Robbie, welcome back to the No State Project.
Thank you, sir. Well, yeah, I had my 11th arraignment attempt on Wednesday.
So it was the 11th.
And it was with Judge Angel Lopez, or Angel Lopez, and he held me in contempt because I was asking, the question about applicability of the code, and then he said, "But I'll reconsider if you plead." So he took a recess, and they handed me like this the plea form, the guilty plea form, which has all sorts of confessions and things that I would have to lie in order to plead guilty. And then when he came back, I asked, "Will you reconsider if I plead not guilty?" And he kind of shook his head and grimaced, and I said, okay, I'll plead guilty. And then he said he wouldn't take the plea, and he had them arrest me for contempt. So I spent one night in jail, and then came back the next day in front of him. And I guess a bunch of people had called in, and Joe from Copwatch, Hawaii, was one of the people that called the courthouse and left a message. And
yeah.
So I come in the next morning, and he's like, I was racking my brain trying to figure out what to do. Like, how can I be able to actually speak about the things that I need to bring up, in the courtroom, because this judge would never let me speak. He kept interrupting me. So I asked if we could speak off the record, with him, me, and the prosecutor. And he said, "No, I want you to listen to this." He played Joe's message, which all it really said was, there's a bunch of us who are going to collectively work to file complaints with the Judicial Commission, and we want to see you in prison for the crimes that you're committing, and forever your name will be Googleable. It'll be searchable on Google, and your family will always know what you've done. And the judge tried to say that that was a threat. He released me from contempt, recused himself, and then because he said that he felt like he and his family were threatened, he remanded me into custody and held me in there on $20,000 bail after recusing himself.
Yeah,
So
I
fortunately,
heard Joe's call, and there was nothing in there that should be considered that any reasonable person could consider a threat to themselves or their family. I mean, I think and see, this is what gets me too about these people. They love acting in anonymity, and when you get their pictures and you have it so that when their family and I have direct evidence of this because I know for a fact, like with the IRS issue and Rudy Ogden, we have David Williams. I know for a fact that posting their pictures so that it comes up on Google is having an impact. They don't like it one bit. Although
no.
Rudy Ogden at least said to me he didn't have a problem with me reporting he lied. He just said I should have been honest myself and not cherry picked, which I didn't cherry pick. But good on him for at least knowing that that's a logical fallacy. I want to go through this because the fact that he is threatening you with contempt and then is going to give you an option to enter a plea or contempt. So it looks to me that any plea that you would have given if he allowed it would have been under threat, duress, and coercion. So do you want to sit in jail or do you want to enter a plea?
Yep, exactly.
That right there, it should be enough, according to their sacred writ, to have him put in jail. That alone, either you plea or you're going to jail. Whoa. And how is that fair again? Really? Plea or go to jail?
Yep.
See, and that's the thing by their own sacred writ. Every plea, whether it's no contest, guilty or not guilty, every single plea must be voluntary and intelligent. Every single one. That's what it says. That's what the rules are pretty consistent there. They even ask you when you're pleading guilty, has anyone coerced you in any way? I'm like, yeah, you did?
Yeah.
I was like, are you such a damn narcissist that you don't even recognize that when you threaten me, it is an actual threat? I have to quote Suzanne Small again here. So real quick, let me get this quote in. It's not threat, duress, and coercion when we do it. That's a direct quote. Suzanne Small of the Franchise Tax Board Legal Department in Sacramento. It is not threat, duress, and coercion when we do it. Wow.
Insanity.
So the calls, particularly the one from Joe, that is what changed his mind. He was not even going to allow you to enter a plea. He was just going to hold you on because of the threat, the perceived threat.
Yep. Yeah, so because of that, I mean, he's saying, he's using it as an excuse. Of course, we know that these tyrants would find some way to punish people who challenge their authority. But he used the excuse of the so-called threatening phone call to recuse himself. And then, of course, he said, I can't accept the plea because I've recused myself. I can't hear any of your objections because I recused myself. Yet he's willing to make punitive rulings on the case that he just recused himself from, which is ironic.
The $20,000 bail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And try to hold me in jail until December 27th, because originally the date was December 1st, and for some reason he used the excuse that the hearing has to be when he's out of town because I guess the other however many dozen or more judges are there can't hear the hearing while he's in town for some reason. I don't know. It didn't make sense.
I guess he's trying to make it that he can't be in town because someone like Joe, who said that he was going to be Googled, is a threat to him and his family, so they shouldn't be in town because apparently you have cohorts who are willing to use violence. And he's got no evidence of this at all, of course, but that's my impression. That he has to get the hell out of town because you're going to have a gang of thugs, sort of like what he has, to do harm to him and his family. Come on. Angel Lopez, and I agree with Joe there. Everyone, when you Google Angel Lopez should get an article and a video about what he did to you. It should be the top,
Yep.
at least on the first page of Google. And it's not like you're lying, and we know exactly. We're not the ones lying. We're saying this is what happened. He got a call from Joe in Hawaii and freaked out, as paranoid as these people seem to be, and took, I'm going to report on the internet what you've done so that when your family Googles you, they'll see what you did. How the hell is that a physical threat to anybody? I mean, if a CNN reporter said we're going to report this, is he going to turn around and take his family out of the U.S. because CNN is a threat to their?
Yeah, and then he tries to tell me that I'm the one putting the court in a difficult position.
Yeah, excuse me, do you project much? I mean, bottom line here is even if you're a critic to the show, you have to look and accept, you should be able to accept the evidence here. And the evidence is that the only threats being issued are from him. Do you want to enter a plea or do I hold you in contempt? That's a threat. Holding you under threat of death, which is, because he can issue a warrant for your arrest if you don't participate. That's being violent. He is forcing you so far 11 times to participate under threat of death, or at least threat of jail. If you do not participate in these proceedings, I will have you put in jail. He's the one that's exercising the aggression and threats of violence, and then he turns it around on you. See, this is classic psychological manipulation. This is no damn different than a husband balling up his fist, punching his wife in the face, and turning around saying, "You're the one who caused this."
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, Angel Lopez, is actually worse than a damn wife beater or a spouse, someone who's abusing their spouse. Because this bastard actually believes he has a right to do that. He has a moral right to do this to you. Where I doubt the abusing spouse would turn around and say, "I have every right to hit them." Yeah, they'll say that in private when they're beating the hell out of someone when they're bullying them. They're going to say that on 6 o'clock news? I have every right to beat my spouse. Oh, please. So that's what this guy's doing. This is classic psychological manipulation. It's the victim's fault. Hey, she shouldn't have worn that dress there, tough guy. She shouldn't have drank so much. She was looking for it. Oh, please.
Yep.
Get a moral compass, you narcissistic. Oh, sorry. There's a lot we have here. There's a lot we have here on Angel, and we don't even have to do a motion to disqualify him because he got off. He took himself off the case already.
Yep.
So
yeah, the question is how to get any judge to hear rational arguments or actually take seriously the motions when this is a high profile judge. He's been involved with the Commission on Judicial Fitness. So he's sort of high ranking, and it's like everybody respects him. And even the guard, as they were taking me back to my jail, they said, "He's such a nice judge. I can't believe that you're threatening him." And it's like they're completely delusional.
That reminds me, I saw Twisted Sister back in Long Island when I was a kid. And there's a point to this, trust me. It was the first rock concert, heavy metal concert I ever went to. And Dee Snider used to do these speeches when they played live. At least they did back then. So anybody who remembers 2002 roller skating rink in Sayville, Long Island, that's what I'm talking about. And he did this one rant where after somebody goes ahead and just kills a bunch of people, like Jeffrey Dahmer did, or what's his name, John Wayne Gacy. And everyone around says, he was such a nice guy. He was so quiet. And Dee would say, well, F being quiet. Hey, if there's anybody who's at one of those early Twisted Sister shows, you gotta contact me at markstevens.net. And so that's the same thing we're hearing here. It's the they are so look, they are a part of the abuse system. They are the ones who are carrying out the abuse. They look up to him as an authority figure. If they were to question the morality of what he was doing, then that would be directly questioning then what they're doing because they're just carrying out his orders. So if Angel Lopez is a immoral degenerate because of what he's doing to you, then they are, by their collusion and carrying out his orders, immoral degenerates.
Yep.
So what was his body language like? I mean, I heard the recording, but what did he look like?
Yeah. So during the call, or during the call from Joe when he was playing it, he was just looking right at me, like right in my eyes the whole time, and I didn't want to give him any satisfaction. I didn't want to show anything. So I just looked down. I met his eyes once and then looked down, but he was just watching for a reaction from me. And then he afterward, it was like the whole disappointed father kind of thing. Like, you put me in a tough spot. You know, you've really made this difficult for the court. And, you know, he was just looking at me like a disappointed father, you know, if his son wasn't getting high enough grades or something would, and just basically acting like, you know, his hands were tied. It was all my fault. I was the one that carried out this threat somehow. He tried to say that I prompted it. Well, he inferred that I prompted it because I made a phone call in the middle of the hearing when he took a recess. And yeah, just that. I knew something was up, like just because his body language was different somehow. It was like there was more focus on him on me and trying to get me to feel like I had done something wrong.
Right.
And a part of me wanted to believe him. You know?
Well, of course.
Like,
that's a natural thing. That's a part of psychological manipulation. It's a guilt trip. You're making me do this. It's like that thing. This is going to hurt me an awful lot more than it's going to hurt you. Fungal. What are you? I'm not 3 years old anymore. This guy is a classic. I mean, that, again, it's classic psychological manipulation from a bully. And it's only because there's a shred of decency left in him to recognize that what he's doing is wrong that he has to shift the guilt to you. Now, you can end this right now because 11 times this man has asked for the prosecution's evidence to prove their claim is true. 11 damn time proceedings we've gone through. We've done it in writing. We have a discovery request, a Brady request he's required to comply with. You had every opportunity throughout these 11 proceedings to do the right thing. And the nerve of trying to shift the blame and put a guilt trip on you and take advantage of your empathy, your wanting to do things in good faith. This guy's a slime ball. And I have no evidence of this. But if you are treating a perfect stranger like that and using those basic manipulative, tactics, you're going to tell me that doesn't follow him into his private life? I mean, I did have somebody here, and I'm going to say the name, Robin Allen. And he was one of these narcissist judges out here in Mesa, Arizona. And I knew the guy who did his appliances. And he told me, you've got to see this guy at home. He is unhinged. He is screaming at everybody. He is the only difference is he doesn't really scream in court because that really is bad. But when he's home, the guy is off the charts crazy. And that's it. You can look up Robin Allen is a judge in the Mesa Municipal Court. And I've gone toe-to-toe with this guy a number of times. And I can tell you, he is definitely emotionally unstable. The guy does not have adult coping skills. This guy's adult coping skills aren't bad. I mean, he wasn't yelling and screaming. I heard that. He's just a manipulative narcissist. And if anyone thinks I'm getting it wrong and he was using a standard manipulation tactic, 218-632-9399, or Skype me, and I am at Frank Rizzo 3. We'll pull you on the air with Robbie right now. And because you just gave us a big clue there, a big fact that we have to consider here. You are actually feeling guilty.
Oh yeah, I was feeling like it was overwhelming, and I don't know if it was a combination of already having been in jail. My mind was all groggy and stuff, and it was hard for me to focus like I normally can. But yeah, he was actually making me feel like, well, did I do something wrong? And I've listened to the recording since getting out of jail, and there's nothing that I've done wrong. It's very clear, but in the moment it was like I just felt like I was in chains for one. I had all these people looking down on me. Just a completely silent courtroom because nobody there had ever seen this happen before. But yeah, I felt like, because I take on kind of what other people feel toward me, and I kind of take that onto myself as a general rule. So I felt guilty, and it's clear to me now that I was manipulated. It is a form of psychological torture.
Oh, the fact that he's holding jail over your head, psychological torture. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the show how they are holding someone's life in their hands. I mean, that, the only way that I would consider holding somebody against their will is if they were being violent and they had initiated violence, and that was the only way to stop them. The only way to neutralize his threat is to physically restrain him. Mm-hmm. You are not doing anything like that. Even if we give this manipulative narcissist, for sake of argument, with the benefit of, all right, man, this guy just will not let go of the jurisdiction issue. He just won't let go. What are your options? Do you have to throw the guy in jail? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Do you throw the guy in jail because you don't like his defense? That's where, no. Even giving him the benefit, there are other options. Hey, how about this? How about recuse yourself because you're a little sick and tired of dealing with this guy, and it's actually starting to cloud your judgment, that you can't be fair because you dislike the man so much. How about that? Oh, that's right. Judges can do that, and we know this judge can do it. And I think the fact that this manipulative SOB, and I think this is part of what he was doing to you psychologically too, to actually try to make a case against you that what Joe was saying was not only a threat to him and his family, but directed by you. So that you can now sit in jail wondering, oh my gosh, they're going to have a grand jury indict me for threatening a judge. How the hell can I get a fair trial if they actually do something like that? So did that have come on, that had an impact on me. And I'm sitting here safe in a fortified compound. When they told me, and I heard that, and we think he's bluffing there, but we don't know. You don't know. So did that have an impact on you when you're sitting in their cage for those couple days?
Absolutely. It not only had an impact on me while I was in there, but even knowing that I was going to be bailed out, I felt like they were going to try to use it to keep me in there, or that now that I've been bailed out, like they're going to just file some kind of a BS charge and, have people come and arrest me for that charge just to try to keep me in there. Like that fear has not still entirely gone away, even though it was worse when I first got out, but it's diminished now that I've seen the issue with more clarity. But it's still a fear. Definitely played a factor.
My gosh, I tell you that is awful. So I imagine some people, especially critics, would ask, and I can ask this myself. In retrospect, what this Angel Lopez did to you and how he manipulated you and used such aggression against you. Was it worth it, and would you do it again?
Um, as long as people can see what is going on with the judicial system, as long as people can see what kinds of criminals these people really are, then yeah, I would do it again. You know, if all of this happens and it ends up being for no reason and they end up winning and, you know, throwing me in prison on some crazy thing that they make up, or murder me somehow for some reason, and everyone just kind of forgets about it, then of course not. But my goal is to be able to show everyone what happens when a perfectly calm and rational person just goes in and asks this very basic question regarding jurisdiction. And, you know, someone who, you know, I'm not a criminal by nature. I'm not aggressive by nature. I'm nonviolent, and I haven't done anything besides, you know, driving without licenses back when I was younger.
Oh no!
And so if people can see what is going on, and if people can help change what is going on, then it'll all have been worth it to me.
So you're doing this for some principle.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, the fact that
Yeah, because
it's easy if people go through and watch the video, and is the video also on Joe in Hawaii's channel?
yeah, there's a lot of the hearings are on there. We don't have the newest ones yet. We're still waiting on the CD. But yeah, you can go on Joe's channel and hear almost all of the hearings with commentary, as well as some phone calls with a public defender who violated attorney-client privilege, and the meeting with the legal advisor they tried to stick me with, who just sabotaged the defense.
How did they sabotage the defense?
Well, so with the meeting with LP, that's the name of the legal advisor. His name's Lawrence Taylor, but we call him LP. I went into his office and had Joe on the phone, you know, as like assistance of counsel, basically, to help. And LP didn't like it, so he was argumentative. He was insulting. He was cussing at me. And then when we tried asking questions about the jurisdiction, you know, he gaslighted me and said, you know, it's ridiculous. You're wrong. You're delusional. You know, we tried asking, you know, what is, you know, is there any factual evidence that there is jurisdiction? And he kept on bringing up the code. And, you know, we tried to ask, well, that's a circular argument and stuff. And he was just really argumentative. And then whenever we talked about like possible motions and stuff that he could write, because his job, according to the judge, was to inform me of the cause and nature of the proceedings. So the judge said, well, this is why you're going to have this legal advisor, to be informed. And I said, okay, so I'll try it in good faith. And he refused to inform me. He refused to answer questions, he even refused to define what money is, what a $1,000 fine is, basically. And it's just, instead of utilizing our time, you know, for the defense, he wasted our time. And then when he found out that that the phone call was recorded, and it was put on Joe's YouTube, he actually emailed me to tell me that I had committed a crime. And so for like a week and a half, I spent, you know, researching this supposed crime that he had said that I had committed. And he used that as an excuse to get off the case, even though there was no crime that was committed at all. He was just trying to make me believe. He was trying to gaslight me and make me afraid still.
Did you say his name was
So,
Lawrence Taylor?
Lawrence Taylor. Yep.
Wow, what a disgrace to that name. For those who aren't aware, when I used to watch football, I'm from Long Island. I was a Giants fan. I'm kind of wearing the colors now. Lawrence Taylor was the one that actually ended Joe Montana's football career. So,
Huh.
well, apparently you're not over the age of 38, so okay. Um, for those who are more than 38 years old, you're going to know exactly who Lawrence Taylor is, and you're going to probably remember him that unbelievably. Oh, that was some hit. You can still hear the crack. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor, good job there. We can actually bring Joe up. Joe just contacted me, so we can actually join him
Oh, nice.
to the call. So I think I'm gonna what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to do it this way. We don't normally do it this way, but we're in a live broadcast, and I figured since you were just telling us about Joe, it made sense. He contacted me on Skype, which you can at Frank Rizzo 3. And we'll see if we can connect Joe here, and we'll know in just a moment why I usually don't do this on the LRN live broadcast. Because there's no way for me. I can't mute this without muting you also. So hopefully there's no dial tone and Joe can just pick up. Hey, do we have Joe? Hey, do we got that troublemaker from Hawaii on the line now? Is that Joe laughing, or was that you, Robbie?
That was me. Sorry.
It looks like Joe's connected, but I don't hear anything. So if it's a tech issue, it's not from my side. Just want to make that clear. Okay, we're going to have to give Joe another chance. All right, we'll have to call Joe back.
Yep.
So, okay. Maybe the background noise. Okay, so what as far as the gaslighting, I don't want to gloss over this. This is what kills me about these people and how they flip, and the psychological manipulation that you go through from someone who's supposed to be helping you. If he was honestly helping you, he would just tell you he would just answer you straightforward. He would say, "Look, I understand the position. You think they need to have evidence to support their claim of jurisdiction and that it's an element of the crime, as we all know, and it has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm telling you right now, that's just not the way we do things." At least that would be honest. But to turn around and say that you're delusional? Delusional is not someone who's asking for evidence. Delusional is somebody who is believing something despite the evidence. When all the evidence tells you that the car is blue and you're insisting that it is black, that could be delusional. If you're insisting that a baseball is actually a tennis racket, where you're going against the evidence, I want evidence. So if you're going to insult me, at least get it right. I am not delusional because I think that your claims require evidence. That's being logical. You could call me an idiot for insisting that I get evidence in a system that is not going to require them to have evidence. That is an honest insult. But to turn around, and try to manipulate you and gaslight you. And for those who aren't aware, it's a fantastic movie. Both of them were. The original was just as good. Gaslighting, it was a movie from 1940 and 39 and 41, I think. And the second one had Bergman. And the husband, well, it's a 75-year-old movie. Can I really spoil it? But the husband's trying to make the wife think she's crazy. And so what they were doing was, when he was searching for something, he would turn the lights down, and the lights would dim. And she would notice this, and he would say, "You're crazy, the lights aren't going dim." And that's a psychological form of manipulation, to have someone think that they're crazy so that they'll back off of their inquiry. And it's dastardly. Trying to stay in line with the film.
And it should show any possible critic how important these questions actually are, because first off, the question about jurisdiction, if it were such a small and meaningless question, and if it were such a silly defense, then they would just pass over it and say, yeah, there's no evidence that's been submitted because we don't have to. It would be that simple, and then they would just move on. Or, if it were not important to clarify what for example, $1,000 fine is, then instead of spending hours and hours trying to convince me that everyone knows what that means, and that I'm stupid because I don't, he would just say this is what it means.
The manipulation goes. This is deep, because what all he's trying to do is to stop your inquiry. Because if he does say something like, look, that's just not the way it's done, okay? They don't have to prove that. You're going to ask another question. Say, whoa. Hold, time out here, tough guy. You're telling me that they can actually argue against me without any evidence and without a witness? Yes. And that strikes you as due process. That strikes you as fair. That doesn't strike you as prosecutorial misconduct. I mean, black letter law, that doesn't strike you as misconduct? And so those are very uncomfortable questions, because he's supposed to be defending you and making sure not that you're given a not guilty verdict. His job is to ensure you get a fair trial. So this idea that attorneys are there to get their clients a not guilty verdict, no. The attorney's job is to make sure you get a fair trial. Okay? So when people say and defend Hillary Clinton for what she did about an alleged pedophile, that's what attorneys do. No, the attorney's there to ensure a fair trial, not get the charges thrown out. If it's fair to have them thrown out, yeah, that's it. But it's not always. Maybe the client's guilty, but your job is to get. So he is definitely due for a complaint against him with the Bar Association because of what he's doing, and to stop your inquiry. He's there as the professional. Because what do they say to you if you have questions? Go hire your own attorney to explain. Here you've got an attorney who's supposed to help you, and he's doing everything he can to stop you from understanding the process. My God, man, just be honest. Say, this is the way it is, and field the questions from your own client. I would love to see the defense attorney's face if you would ask something. Hey, isn't that prosecutorial misconduct? Isn't it unfair and a violation of due process for him to argue with and have his argument be absolutely irrefutable and not subject to challenge? Isn't that a denial of a fair trial in and of itself?
Yep.
Oh, so what we'll do is I'll gaslight my own client. I'll manipulate him psychologically so he doesn't keep asking questions. That's all that is. Jeez. I mean, if you're going to try to psychologically manipulate somebody, at least show some originality and some style. Don't pull it out of manipulation 101 that we've seen a million times, and it's so damn transparent. Because what it does is it shows an even lower respect for your client, that you think so little of him, you're not even going to be artful in your manipulation.
Yep.
I wish I had a nickel every time I thought that.
I think we got Joe on. How the hell did you accomplish that, Joe?
Oh, you can hear me now. Well, okay, cool.
Yeah. You jumped in right at the end of my little rant there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just wish I had a nickel for every time I thought that, because they do that in so many ways. And all the comments you just made, I mean, the closest we got to getting LT to admit what could be the threat of violence that's omnipresent is he referred to something and then immediately backed off of it, which he called the coercive power of the state. And that, when you're talking about gaslighting, the gaslighting is like, oh no, that doesn't exist. It's the force doesn't exist, and this is all voluntary, and everyone is all cool with this. And it's, there were so many examples. I mean, just, Robbie can't get the prosecutor to show up twice in a row because none of them want to be in the same courtroom with him. And the last one, did it by saying so many things, but one that was really disturbing was, as the as he was being threatened, was that he would have to, claim in writing, sign something that said he was a citizen of the United States, that he was a resident of the county of whatever, and that they always had jurisdiction, and that he was wrong when he challenged it.
Oh, wow.
And that is some deep, dark gaslighting bullshit, is what that is. Because that is in essence, when you dig down to the bottom, you're saying you either tell a lie and sign your name to it, that this jurisdiction is ours, even though there's no evidence ever presented of such a thing existing. You either lie and sign your name to it, or you go to the max penalty, which involves jail, a cage, and all that. So it's lie or we'll cage you. In essence, if you break it down all the way, that's what they're doing. And they've been, of course, there's nothing new, right? This has been going on for thousands of years.
Well, you look at one 1,000 years ago, and it was portrayed in the movie Braveheart. Never in my life did I swear allegiance to him. It doesn't matter. He's still your king. What?
Yeah.
And all he had to do was lie, like you're saying, and they would show mercy. Oh, man. Talk about... Yeah, that's some hardcore manipulation there, and before any critics say you're using hyperbole here, douche, I want you to keep in mind, Robbie was not free to walk away from this. We're talking about manipulation under threat and a threat of jail that was carried out. Okay, so before someone wants to comment and say that we're exaggerating or it's hyperbole. Being thrown in jail is never a matter of hyperbole. Okay?
Yeah, and just to clarify to anyone who would even think that, just to clarify, the only reason why Robbie was talking to this LT Lawrence Taylor in the first place was because of, and you can hear this recording, the judge said, you will either do this or you will go to jail. You've got 15 minutes to decide. So, I mean, that's what brought up that meeting. It wasn't like, and he made the best good faith effort out of it, just so it wouldn't be a complete waste of time, and to show that he was being sincere, and they of course wouldn't be. But it was under threat even at that point. So the snowball's been rolling for a while. What were you saying, Robbie?
Yeah, to clarify, it was go to jail. You have 15 minutes to decide. Go to jail, or sign this waiver of your right to counsel, and then after they forced me to fill out that document and autograph it, then at the next hearing it was, we're now holding you to the standard of an attorney. You're going to have trial in 4 days unless you let us appoint this legal advisor. So it was like trial in 4 days that you haven't even had time to prepare for because you've just been trying to plead guilty, or speak to the legal advisor and we'll set over the date.
But you have trial in just a few days, and you've gotten none of your Brady material. The Brady violation hasn't been addressed, and you cannot get away, because we mentioned this earlier, it's even worse. The fact that he's threatening you with jail so that you'll waive counsel. Could you imagine somebody... See, mainstream media should have a field day with this. Like, you're telling us, and we have a transcript to prove this, right? And it's recorded. You threatened a man with jail if he didn't waive his right to counsel? Wow. That is something so serious that rapists...
it gets better and better.
Rapists have been retried. People... No, let me take that back.
Some of the quotes that have come out...
My thought was that people who have been convicted of rape and murder have had their trials thrown out and the conviction thrown out and been retried because they were threatened like that. And here, Angel Lopez threatened you with jail if you don't sign a waiver of counsel. Whoa. Wow.
That was actually,
That
It was
is
actually Cheryl Albrecht was the judge that did that. That was that was the previous judge.
oh,
But yeah.
The one
Carol
right before. Yeah.
Albright. Let's make sure that that name is not forgotten. So when I mentioned to the guys when we heard the call originally, and Joe, of course, you were with us. I think you, and I'm happy to help with this. Lawrence Taylor, Carol Albright, Angel Lopez, and whoever gets assigned to this. There should be a complaint against the counties. I'm not going to try to say the name of the county.
Yeah, Multnomah.
Multnomah?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good try.
Wow. All right. Multnomah County in Oregon file an insurance claim against them for what they've done. And you have a recording of Carol Albright threatening you with jail if you don't sign a waiver of counsel. Holy crap.
And then after he came back and started talking, she goes, "Oh yeah, I should have told you there was a third option." Was that Albrecht that did that, Robbie?
Yeah. Cheryl Albrecht. Yeah.
So she threatened him with jail, not knowing there was a third option. And then when he came back to not take jail, she said, "Oh yeah, there's a third option." So it just, I mean, the quotes that have come out of this, I mean, some of them were, the state doesn't present evidence. It never presents evidence prior to the entry of a plea. And then another line that goes right hand in hand with that is, I'm not going to accept your plea until you've given up all your rights. Now, what the fuck
Whoa.
kind of Nazi?
Hello.
I mean, I'm sorry. Excuse my language. Sorry, it's Marc's show. My bad. My apologies.
It's okay.
What kind of what kind of language? What kind of sense is that? Right. That's
bullying.
just saying you're screwed from the jump and admitting it.
Yes,
It's too weird.
They are bullies. They are bullies. They're criminals, and they bully people. They do not get what they want through persuasion. They do it through violence, threats of violence. Very simple. If they had logical, coherent arguments and had evidence to support their claims, they wouldn't need to use such manipulation techniques, psychological torture, actual torture, throwing people in jail. Normal people don't need to do that. If you're persuasive through your argument because it has merit and people can see the merit in it, you don't need to use force. So what's one of the things that I've even had it on markstevens.net. Statism. Ideas so good, they're compulsory.
Yeah.
It's just like, with a church. If your doctrine is so good and creates such good people, why do you have an army? Both popes used to have armies. So, I mean, if the doctrine was, that people could see the merit to it, and wow, this makes good people, you keep an army. No, you wouldn't need the army. You wouldn't need a prison system. Oh, well, we have prisons for violent people. Really? Really? The percentage of people in there for violent crimes is not nearly as high as people in there for smoking pot.
Sure.
Yep.
So, and that's why I remember years ago I had someone spouting off, this is in the late 90s, saying how much they loved Joe Arpaio. I think those people in Tent City deserve even less rights. And I said, really? I've spent some time there in the Madison Street dungeon. Let me ask you a question. How many people in Tent City are convicted? Well, all of them. No, you idiot. There are people in there waiting for trial. They just happened to go out and get a traffic ticket, and the judge was pissed off. It was right before lunch, or maybe he didn't get laid that night. Who knows? He was just in a bad mood. He decided that he didn't like you. You look too Irish to him, and who cares? The fact is, there's a very large percentage of people in that Tent City that are not convicted. They're waiting for trial. They couldn't make bail. Oh, well, I didn't know. Well, why don't you pull your head out of Joe Arpaio's ass long enough?
No doubt.
Why don't you actually
right?
question why you're a Republican then? Why don't you actually start asking these questions? Well, why am I a Republican? Why do I blindly follow people like Joe Arpaio? Oh, it's because you never gave a second's thought to what the facts were. I understand.
They want their vote to count.
Oh,
They want to
please.
live in a country where their vote counts. It would be very unpleasant thought to believe your vote doesn't count, even if you vote for the winning team, quote unquote, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, the sad fact is that what Robbie is relating to us, and I'm not taking away from this, Robbie, so don't get offended here. This is not an exception. This kind of behavior is unfortunately all too common. People are
Oh,
treated
yeah.
by the system horribly. We've had people threatening that where they were threatened in Florida that their newborn child was going to be ripped away from them because she had the mother had the audacity to actually challenge an opinion from a lawyer. So yeah, she's
A
like,
lawyer
well,
over a mother.
yeah. So why not just have the lawyer answer the question then?
Yeah.
Because the system is not designed to get to the truth. The system is there to exploit and control and to grind up as many people as possible without an uprising.
It's just more profitable to have slavery if the slaves don't believe they're slaves.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So
kind of simple.
yeah. Well, so Robbie, let's talk about what we need to do to help, to work with you and to help get this cleaned up. I know we had been talked about a habeas corpus, but thank goodness you were. And I want to go. I gotta I want to thank everybody who came to the table here and stepped up and helped you get out. I really appreciate that. It means a lot that we're able to do something on the show here, and that we don't have the biggest audience. I'm really disappointed at the guys listening live today. I mean, come on, guy. Really? Just because it's Thanksgiving? Come on. But not only have we been able to, through the chat, help people prep for court, and we have people show up as media reps, but Robbie was a victim big time here, and people. I didn't even know. My whole thing. Well, let's do a habeas corpus. But Joe and the guys got together and stepped to the Playboy and pulled some resources and helped you get out. And so I really appreciate everyone stepping up and doing that. It means a lot because it shows that the work we're doing here is it's not having the biggest impact, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to have an impact and help people. And so to have people pull together, it means the No State Project. There's purpose there, and we're seeing that carried out. So thank you to everyone who helped with that. I hope it doesn't have to happen again. So what do we need to do? What are we looking at in getting this thing finally tossed out?
Well, I'm definitely going to be filing a claim with the risk management for state of Oregon, and hopefully they'll relax some of the pressure at that point. I obviously have some motions which I'm going to have to write and file regarding the waiver of counsel and these just each of these things that the judges have done, and just somehow have a way to get it all on the record so that hopefully the next judge will read through it and see, maybe we should just dismiss this. And
have the previous judges denied the motion to dismiss?
Yep. So yeah.
Did you file a reconsideration already?
No, I have not.
I would file that. I would get things started with filing that together with a motion to strike the orders that were made, and I'd file a separate motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. And
Yep.
And get in there, Lawrence Taylor. Don't say LT, guys. That's even more offensive. More people know. More people know the football player is LT. So let's not confuse those. His name is Lawrence Taylor. He's an attorney in Oregon, and that you can use his statements to show he knows the prosecution is engaged in misconduct and thinks it's okay. Use his statements.
Yep.
He knows that you were getting treated unfairly, and he just let it happen.
Yeah, we're also reporting the judge to the Oregon State Judicial Commission, or Commission on Judicial Conduct, rather. But every state calls it something a little bit different, or something. They have a couple different names. Anyway, the point is, that's who I went to when I got the lawyer who screwed up with me sanctions. And so we're familiar with the complaint process. And the nice thing is because we've been paying so close attention to their reactions, we know that even if that doesn't actually result in a consequence, because obviously we're going to the judges to come down on judges, right? What sense does that make? Even though it may not result in, they want no part of having any kind of application with even their name on it. And that to them is just, oh crap, let's get away from there. We've seen nothing but people just dodge any part of this case, and when it comes to that kind of exposure. So that's two. And then also lastly, keep in mind there's things that we have planned that we can't say, as far as strategies and legal strategies in response to what they're doing.
Well, I think
So,
what I mentioned, that's the way I would take it. Motions to
yeah.
strike the orders that were done already. Motion to reconsider the prior denial of the original motion, and a motion to dismiss for prosecutorial misconduct. And name each
I like that
prosecutor.
reconsider. It might give them a way out. If they want one or they're looking for one, that could be one. New Judge Eric J. Bergstrom.
Well, it's also an opportunity to maybe get it set for a hearing. So get the two motions set for a hearing and get the prosecution in there. Look, I am willing to plead guilty, but I don't see the evidence. If the evidence isn't here, then the only logical, rational, and fair thing to do is grant the motions. But we're here. Does the prosecution have this evidence, yes or no?
The last time he did that, that's what led to contempt, and they would just threaten it again. And this time he's not going to be stomping on the gas, and we're back to square one. But I'm really glad it gives them an opportunity to again be have their noses rubbed in it again, and yet another opportunity for dismissal and try and save some face.
All right. Well, you don't have to get them. You don't have to get the motions calendared for a hearing. And if they deny them, then given the overall tone, what's happened so far, which has been horrible, you can use the denial to get it reviewed in the higher court and be able to maybe get a stay of proceedings and stop the trial court. So we've got a clear-cut case of prosecutorial misconduct and collusion with the judges. You can prove the judges are covering for the prosecution's lack of evidence. They don't have to prove that. You're making my case for me by saying they don't have to prove it. You're covering for their burden of proof, you jackass. So that's the step, Robbie, that I would take after that. So if you file the motions knowing at least this is my remedy that I have available if they just deny it. So, yeah, I think Joe's got a point about avoiding another trial, another hearing with these people. Maybe the next judge won't be like Angel Lopez, but you don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
You don't know what the hell's going on under those roads.
What do you think about interlocutory appeal here?
That's what a petition for writ is. So if you did a petition for writ of prohibition to review the denial of the motion to change judge, that would be considered an interlocutory writ, an interlocutory appeal, because you're stopping the trial court and reviewing it prior to a conviction. So
you said change judge. Did you mean dismiss the case? Because the judge is already changing. Maybe I misheard and got confused.
I'm sorry, because we usually use the motion, the petition for writ to review denial of a motion to change judge. The petition for writ of prohibition would be to review the denial of the motion to dismiss.
Right.
And before anyone makes, I know damn well the only way you can get an interlocutory appeal and get a petition for writ through is if you do not have a right of appeal right now. There is no right to appeal the denial of a motion to dismiss. You have to go through trial and first, and then you can appeal it. But because of that, you don't have the right of appeal when it's denied. You do have grounds for appellate jurisdiction to review that. That's okay. So that's what I would do, and so we'll see what happens with the motions. If they get denied, then you file your petition for a writ of prohibition to review the denials, and hopefully they take jurisdiction and stop the trial.
Yep.
So,
yeah, all of that sounds good.
See, this is the beauty of doing it this way, Joe and Robbie, because we've gone over the time, and we don't have an interruption in the flow of the ideas. So
Yeah.
what sucks is
Yeah.
that I'm not gonna. You know, I'm gonna. I can't. I'm gonna have to wrap up. I know there are other callers on the line. I do appreciate people tuning in. There was a lot to get to today with Robbie, but we will be live this Saturday from 4 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on LRN.FM. So we're still doing that. This is just the second of many live editions of the No State Project here on the Ustream. Hopefully, I will have my operating system. See, that's the thing, guys. I have to update the operating system to do my live broadcast on Saturday. And when I get that done, I will be able to do the live stream on YouTube. And so we won't have the 360. We won't have things kind of stretched out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it all goes down to my operating system having to get upgraded. So
I see.
we'll get that. I'm hopefully going to get that done tomorrow. But Robbie, I appreciate you coming on. And Joe, I appreciate what you're doing. There was nothing in your call that is considered a threat. But the thing is, if you were to take what you did on that phone call, and let's just say for sake of argument, we say that that could be reasonably considered a threat to his life and his family's life. Using that standard, what the hell do we call what Angel Lopez did
Yeah, that's a good question.
to Robbie? Let's apply his standard to what he did to Robbie.
Yeah.
That you either, and what Cheryl Albrecht did, you either waive your right to counsel or you're going to jail.
$2,000 of money, apparently, according to them, and a nice little fun search while you're being thrown in jail for what they call contempt.
Hi, these bastards. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
all of that.
Angel Lopez, you're a bully, and we're going to put the title right in the title for this video and the show notes. I'm going to have Angel Lopez. I'm going to get a screen cap of your pictures. So it'll be there, Joe. It'll be there with this. So with the article on markstevens.net, and then once I put his picture up, listing his crimes, I'll put it right on the picture. You should do this too, Joe. And Robbie, it's up to you.
Sweet.
Put the crimes, list them at the bottom of the picture with the link, so that when someone Googles his name, his picture comes up, but the text will also be a part of the picture.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay, and Cheryl Albrecht threatening a litigant, a party, with contempt if they don't waive their right to counsel. Put that right in right on the picture, so it's always there.
Yep,
always.
That's the way to do it. It was insane.
Yeah. Hey guys, I really appreciate the time. Joe, why don't you let people know how they can reach your YouTube channel?
Oh, it's Cop Watch Hawaii is a YouTube channel that's been known to post things that have my voice associated with them. And there's a Twitter link there, but I don't really, I mean, as long as people just get pointed to the Socratic method, I'm happy.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that. And Robbie, do you have any contact information, or they just have to look for your video?
Yeah, just look up the videos. It's probably the best.
Okay, and it should be linked. It should have been embedded in the show you were on at markstevens.net under the articles. And what we should do is, what you could do is send me the link. I'll put that in the show notes for the YouTube feed.
Okay.
All right.
Sweet. We got updates coming, so it's gonna get good.
It's going to be good. All right, guys, I really appreciate it. My name is Marc Stevens. This has been the second edition of the live No State Project here on Ustream. We'll be on YouTube soon, but it will be on my YouTube channel. It's No State Project. We'll also have that in the archives under markstevens.net. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And we will be live this Saturday. So till next